Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. It's Monday night. It's SAFRL Tier 1, and we're here for round 2. We head off into Bahrain, 5.4 kilometers, circa 29 laps for the 50% race. Speeds of 327 kilometers an hour, around 15 corners, and then just 16 meters of elevation change. Many overtakes at this circuit, like in 2022 when Verstappen took on Leclerc. Many passes for the lead on that occasion. And back to some memories, 2014 Rosberg versus Hamilton, and that's a reminder of what a duo those two were. And then Yuki Tsunoda in 2022, showing Lando Norris that you can make an overtake anywhere around this track, even in lap 10, even in turn 10. Obviously the 3 tyre compounds available, we have the soft, medium and hard, and usually I'd say the wet and the inter are on standby, but we're in the desert, so I doubt we'll be seeing any of that. This is SAFRL Tier 1, it's the best part of a Monday. We're about to get going. You can already see some mechanics coming out of the pits, and that looks like a Red Bull. Got a Red Bull coming out of the pits almost immediately. That is Andres. Remember, we just have the 1 quali session, so just the 18 minutes for everyone to get around, get their lap times in. Gotta get out there, set that benchmark. You never know what's going to happen in quali. Could go out on that first run, could get invalidated, could go out on the second run and be impeded, and all of a sudden those 18 minutes session can creep up on you. This was the first man out of the pits. Interesting name, that. How should I pronounce it? Tell me in the comment section. Give me some suggestions on how I should pronounce that. I'll just call him FaZe and ignore the rest. This is the Red Bull, first man out of the pits. It's going to be the first one to set a lap time. A lot of drivers out there, very quick. We've got a quick McLaren setup here, Madwell and Itzfari following each other closely on circuit. Aston Martin leaves the pits, that's Virus. So many quick drivers in this field. For the time being, no lap times. And don't read too much into those first lap times. Lap times will come down as the session goes on. Red Bull over the line, first man to start a quick lap. Let's ride on board with the Red Bull. It's on the apex of turn 1, it's a good way to start things off. I almost forgot to give you all your info. There you go. So this is the Red Bull, obviously fastest through sector 1 because he's the first man out on track. And interestingly enough, he's out on a set of mediums. How have I missed that? Okay, so FaZe prefers to be called Melon. The Red Bull on mediums for some reason, maybe just looking to lay down some rubber, not taking the first run too seriously, or maybe he made a mistake. We'll find out if he peels off into the pits. Battery charge looks awfully high for somebody who's doing a quick lap. I wonder if he just invalidated that lap. There we go, he does come into the pits. I wonder if he was just on the wrong compound, or if he was just putting some extra rubber out on track. This is the second of the McLarens. Both of those McLarens were out on track, but I see Madwell has returned to the pits, so very possibly also just invalidating his lap. Now some lap times coming in. We've got Big T in provisional pole 29.1, Pantry Star P2 29.7, so big difference for now. Buffelsfontein P3, Andre P4, Ace of Pace P5, make it P6. It's Ferry, the latest one over the line. He went up into P3 at 29.9. And now Microstatic. Time's coming in thick and fast. Microstatic 29.6. But nobody quite close enough to the 29.1. For the time being, front row split by half a second. Madwell, another quick driver who remains in the pits for now. Keep our eyes on him. This is Virus in the Aston Martin. Goes around the final corner. Looking for that first lap of the evening. It's going to open up DRS. Head over the line. It's good enough for P2. It's 29.4. The AlphaTauri of Big T going very slowly, just getting out of the way. Doesn't want to impede anybody. Two Ferraris, line astern, 6th and 7th. Very close lap times between those teammates. Where is the second McLaren? Madwell remains in the pits. Phase on another outlap. Logic, Spikes, all looking for their first quick laps. Logic went quickest in sector 2. Keep your eyes on this lap. This could be a top 5. Didn't see his sector 1. Definitely had a brilliant sector 2, and he goes up into P3, a 29.2. And France, we missed that, but France has stolen provisional pole. It's as close as can be though. It's 29.0. P2 is Big T on a 29.1, and then P3 a 29.2. So just 0.2 of a second covering the top 3. Virus not far behind, 29.4. Still awaiting the first 28s of the evening, and I'm almost certain we will see them. Remember, some of those laps, just a first run. Drivers have a lot more. If they do have more, it's frightening. How much more do they have? We see in 28. If we do, how far into the 28s will we go? High 28s, mid 28s. We had predictions before the race of somewhere between a 28.7 and a 28.9. So we have a window of 0.2. And France is awfully close to that window, 29.0. Not quite a 28 though. Track is now pretty quiet. A lot of guys in the pits preparing for their second run. "19 drivers will start this race. It's going to be very interesting to see how things go into turn 1. So important to keep your nose clean in those opening laps. Will we see safety cars? If we do, how many? And this is Bahrain. It's a track known for penalties. Very easy to invalidate a lap around here, similar to Austria in that way. Very wide circuit, but you get greedy and you want to use all of the tarmac that is available, and sometimes you use too much. You use the tarmac that's not available. just insane. I believe that is an in-lap because his battery is completely depleted. Mr. M going wide into the runoff area, catching drivers at bad times. This is Jacques, currently P12, 130.0. Still a decent lap time, but with the field this close, you find yourself at the rear of the field and it's not fair. Second of the two Aston Martins, Virus up in P4. Andre, it's on a lap. Actually, he's just come into the pits. It's P13, a 130.3. Very close field. With the exception of Phase in P16. From P1 down to P15, we have a gap of 1.4 seconds. That's a very, very close field. You can be doing decent lap times and find yourself at the rear of that field. This is why so many tier 2 drivers who should be here hide away from it. Big T, currently in P2. He did that initial lap, 29.1. It was good enough for provisional pole until France was able to find a 10th on him. But now he's back out there looking for something better, looking for something more. That's so many screens, I'm always going to repeat myself, but Big T goes into provisional pole, and that is right in the middle of the window that was predicted, so well done on that one. Will we see more? It's a 28.8. Does France have more than that in his pocket? I was just about to say, when these drivers go around, they set that install lap. When they go out, try and go faster. They'll know if they can go faster. They'll know if that lap before was pretty much perfect. And if there was any mistakes, they'll know exactly where those mistakes were. France, currently demoted to P2 with a 29.0. Needs to find 2/10. He's going to retake provisional pole. He's going to have to find more than 2/10 if he can be comfortable in his provisional pole. Now, we haven't even spoken of microstatic, but he's also now, he's taken a 28.6, and well, that's now broken the window. That's broken the window that we predicted. We predicted between a 27.7 and a 27.9, 28.7 and a 28.9. And we're already in the 28.6s. We still have lots of time to go. Big T is going to come into the pits. That was a successful run. He did improve. Be a bit annoyed that microstatic improved too. Improved by quite a ways. France, 28.6 as well. And well, that is 0.04 of a second covering the front row. Can't get any closer than that. Big T, 28.8, only good enough for P3. It's insane. Logic P4, Pantry Star. He is in P5, currently at 29.3. Lap that would have been good enough in many other leagues. On this occasion, just good enough for P5. He wants to get himself onto that front row. Somebody's going to have to do a 28.5? Will we see a 28.5? Might just see a 28.5. None of those top runners can remain in the pits. Laps are so close together, you've got to go out there and defend your lap time. Nobody in this qualifying session showing clear domination. 28.6 versus a 28.6. That is the gap for the front row. sounds crazy because it is crazy, and it's just 400ths of a second between the two drivers. Further 2 tenths back, Big T. Imagine getting into the 28s and it's not good enough for the front row. We ride with Top Gun. It's currently in P9. Top of the two Williams. The other Williams has yet to make a lap time. That's Afrodox. Top Gun pushing hard now in sector 3. Looking for an improvement. Current best at 29.8. It's got a little bit of a gap between him and the next car. But if he's able to find 4 tenths, he could jump more than just one car. Afrodox. I said were we going to see a 28.5, and well, that answers your question. 28.5 is not going to be good enough for pole, folks. You're going to need something more than that. Afrodox over the line, 28.350. I made a few jokes prior to the race starting about 27s. It's starting to become a possibility. France remains in the pits. Microstatic on his way back to the pits. All of those drivers will be probably a little shell-shocked. Session looked like it was going one way. Then Afrodox slapped it into the low 28s. We were talking about mid 28s being impressive. We're officially in the low 28s. Busy racetrack. Afrodox will be on his way back to the pits. France has remained in the pits. Happy with that position. Maybe saving a set of tyres for the race. Microstatic, Big T, Logic, Pantry Star. France has emerged from the pits. He just left it very late. So that's France, Microstatic, Big T, Logic, and Pantry Star. 5 of the drivers in the top 6, all on outlaps. Also have the Naked Champ in P8. He's also on an outlap. But look at that midfield. 29.2, 29.3, followed by 3 29.4s, then a 29.5. Everybody that's out there on circuit now has something to gain. Don't even need to find big chunks of time. You could just find little bits here and there and make up 2 or 3 positions. That's how close these lap times are. France is on an outlap, Big T on an outlap, Microstatic has started what appears to be his final run. He's halfway through it already. Currently in P3, 28.6. You would have thought that was an impressive lap time. Then somebody went and did a 26.3. 28.3. I'm getting all these numbers wrong. There's way too many numbers. Microstatic. Right on board with the Alpine. Even Alpine loves to be in a situation where they were fighting for poles. Ooh, just losing it there out of the final corner, not getting the traction he would have wanted. But let's see, as he goes over the line, is he able to improve? No, stays in P4. It's Ferrari going slowly. Checkered flag has fallen, so we won't see any improvement from that McLaren. France is still out on circuit. Big T out on circuit. Virus, Logic, all quick drivers, all with potential. Of stealing a late pole position. France was the last man out of the pits. He left it very late. Pretty sure he was the last man over the line. So if it does come down to track evolution, then well, France, you've got the very best of it. back to France as he goes around the final corner. Let's see, is there an improvement? 28.6 as things stand. Goes over the line, it stays at 28.6, stays P2. Bahrain back into the pits. Logic losing his front wing, that's more like Alpine. Big T into the pits, and I think that is your session. Who would have guessed a 28.3? I was joking about the 27s, but we got pretty close. Obviously a reminder at the start of the race there is no formation lap, so everybody needs to be ready to get on with it. And there are your official results for qualifying. Afrodox, what a lap in the end, a 128.350. Nobody got quite close. Next best was France in P2, 2.5 tenths away. Then on the second row, it's Ferrari, Microstatic, Logic P5, Big T P6. Then we have Virus, Pantry Star, the Naked Champ, and Buffelsfontein making up the top 10. Not in the top 10, P11, Mr. Rem, followed by Top Gun, Andres, Jacques, Spikes, Andre, Ace of Pace, FaZe, and Madwell making up your field. We're back. We're back, and qualifying is all fun and games, but this is where you get the points. Now we'll have a short break. This is while guys decide on their strategies. Obviously, overfueling, underfueling, what's the plan? Do you expect safety cars? This is one track you don't need to worry about the weather. We're in the desert. But safety cars can be a factor that ruin your strategy. Do you start on softs in anticipation of an early safety car? Or do you start on hards and hope for a clean start? There we go. We're ready to go. Gonna see the 5 red lights, and then they're gonna go away, and the cars are gonna be on their way. We've got a Williams versus a Mercedes, Mercedes Power versus Mercedes Power into turn 1, and hopefully we don't see too much carbon fiber flying around. Afrodox cleanly through turn 1 leads the way. He's already got a nice little buffer down to P2. It's Ferrari, picked up a position, went up into P2. France lost a position, he's been demoted to P3. Logic in the first of the 2 Alpines in P4. And then Big T makes up the top 5. Let's have a look at the tyre situation. Looks like a majority of the field started on the medium compound. France in P3, he decided to go on the hard tyre, and that might explain his loss of position at the start. Those tyres, when they get up to temperature, they will feel a little better, but he is one of 4 cars to try that hard tyre strategy. the other three, Mr. Rem in P10, Ace of Pace P15, then Andre P17. Seems to be a more popular choice at the rear of the field. End of lap 1 for a Docs 134.0. That lap will come down. This is microstatic in the second Alpine. Second Mercedes, naked champ. The only Alfa Romeo on the night. That is the car we're missing, just the 19 drivers, so we're missing an Alfa Romeo. Panfristar on his own, looking to get some points. We're going to say Fontaine in P10, but not for much longer. He's been spun around. We get a caution. Hopefully it stays just that. Ferrari got spun around. He seems to be back underway. And it is a safety car. But I tried to get that on camera for you. Thought that the Ferrari had triggered that safety car, but we appeared to have a Red Bull that has DNF'd from the race. So we're under first safety car of the evening. We have our first safety car of the evening, lap 3 of 29. Is to be expected. Very full racetrack, 19 cars at the start of the race. Just got the one retirement. We had Fontaine have a big spin around. I think that safety car may have just saved him a little, because a few cars went into the pits. Fontaine actually made up some positions. But the two Ferraris both sitting outside the points as things stand. Aphrodoc's getting a little close to that Aston Martin safety car. Question for you guys in the comment section who drive on the game. I don't spend much time behind the safety car because I rarely lead the race, but if you do spend a lot of time behind the safety car, have you ever hit the safety car, and what happens when you do? When you break a wing on a safety car, or do you get immediately disqualified? I would imagine it is the latter. We are in round 2. So a reminder of how things went in round 1. Those are basically the race results from round 1. That's also the championship. So Madwell leads the way on 25 points. Weeze P2 and Aphrodox P3. He's having a strong race here tonight. As far as the Constructors' Championship goes, McLaren lead the way, 37 points. Alfa Romeo not far behind, but we know they're missing a car here tonight. It's all going to be on the shoulders of Panfristar to bring home some points. And then obviously round 2, Bahrain tonight. We do it again on Wednesday with Tier 2, and then next week it's going to be Canada. Having another look at that calendar. That calendar's designed even a little better than the actual F1 calendar. Look at that. We go to Canada and then we go to the US right afterwards, because the US is right next door. On the actual F1 calendar, you go from Europe to Canada, back to Europe in 2 weeks. Makes no sense. See Formula One becoming a lot more popular now in the States, as well as the Middle East and Asia. It was in the mid 1980s, I think it was 1986, maybe 1985, when the Hungaroring made its debut on the F1 calendar. That was actually the first F1 race to take place past what was then known as the Iron Curtain. Since then, we have many races in the East. And 5 Grand Prix in North America. 3 in the USA, obviously 1 in Canada, and the other in Mexico. We're going to get underway. Aphrodux will lead the way. Did he get any sort of a jump on It's-Free? 0.7 of a second is the gap. And we have France P3, Logic P4, Big T P5. So safety car came out very early on in the race, so it wouldn't really have cancelled out any gaps. Everyone was still very close together. Aphrodux, It's-Free, France, Logic, Big T, that is the order in the top 5. Microstatic P6, then Pantry Star in the sole Alfa Romeo. Can't wait for these name changes. All these teams starting with the letter A. It's too much. AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, and I'm pretty sure there's another one, Aston Martin. 4 of the 10 teams start with the letter A. It's a tongue twister. This is Madwell for McLaren. It's the second McLaren, his teammate up the road in P2, fighting for the lead. Madwell fighting for position. Far ahead of him up the road is Pantry Star. Go have a look at the leaders. It's very close to that Williams. Those 2 cars at the front appear to be on the same strategy, both on mediums, same age of tyres. Aphrodux goes fastest, then France goes fastest. Lots of pace here. France, interestingly enough, set the fastest lap of the race on a set of hards. So I wonder if he's just sitting back on those tyres. All of the cars around him are on a set of mediums, so those mediums will inevitably fall off before those hards, and everyone's going to have to come into the pits around France. We have another caution. We hold our breath. But the caution is gone and we're back underway. Aphrodux still leads 0.7 of a second from It's-Free, France P3. And now France just getting out of shape on the exit of turn 10. And that's allowed Logic to get all over the back of the Mercedes. Renault power versus Mercedes power, that's not going to be something you hear too often. But now France just trying to regain some momentum. Just lost traction there on the exit. We saw it on the stream. Luckily he held on to everything. Luckily for Logic, he didn't lose a front wing. He got pretty close to that Mercedes. At the front, things remain the same. They're at the rear of the field. And there's lots of action at the rear of the field. Look at this DRS train. Spikes has fallen off the rest of the field. He'll be hoping for a safety car to help him catch up. Virus on the back of Andries. Then we have Buffelsfontein. We're getting all sorts of action here in the, I want to say the midfield, but this is the rear of the pack. But racing from the front to the back. At the front, still half a second is the gap. No one comfortable there in the lead. No one's been able to run away. This is Madwell in P6. Just wanted to get some confirmation, and there it is. Madwell has made up 13 positions since the start of the race. So he's definitely candidate for driver of the day unless something crazy happens. He's going to continue coming up through that field. He's on a set of mediums. Very few drivers choosing to start on the soft. The only driver out on softs is Andries. Those are 4 laps old, so he put those on under the safety car. Big T now coming under pressure from the McLaren. He makes an easy job of it. Madwell up into P5. And he's now going to become the problem of France. France trying to deal with the Alpine ahead of him, trying to stay with the top 3, and now all of a sudden he's going to have a McLaren coming up in his mirrors. We have a caution. We have a caution, and every time I see a caution it just puts a stop to my commentary for a moment. SAFRL leads the way from its Ferrari, Logic P3, France P4, but now he's going to start coming under pressure from a McLaren. We still have that caution. This is Madwell lining up a Mercedes. Mercedes power versus Mercedes power. Going to be close enough this time around, but now he's going to have DRS. Does he have battery? France may have used a lot of his battery. Madwell doesn't have much more, but he's got enough to get past easily, and he almost goes for 2 positions. Does he go for 2 positions? I think he's pulled it off. Has he? Well, I think he has pulled it off. A little bit messy at the end there. The Alpine losing some momentum. But I didn't see any carbon fiber flying, and Madwell makes up 2 positions. 1 on the straight, and when you thought he'd be happy with that, he thought, let me take another one into turn 1. Luckily no damage, and everyone is underway. But Madwell, he's now up into 3rd place. We have a McLaren 1-3. If you're a Orange Army fan, then the night is going really nicely for you. SAFRL in P2, following its Ferrari, Madwell in P3. So he can send it from a far distance down the racetrack. If he sees a gap, he will go for it. Either that or he missed his braking point and made it look amazing. Either way, last 2 cars in 1 DRS zone. Getting very close to the Williams there. Almost putting him off. Looked like it did put him off. Just lost a bit of momentum, but he's going to have DRS to bring him back. And that's what's so important about being in DRS, is every now and then if you do make a mistake, DRS can just bring you back on the next straight. SAFRL gets past its Ferrari. And now the 2 McLarens. Will they switch positions? Will they play the team game? Madwell's obviously got some extreme pace. Both McLarens on the same strategy, both on medium tyres. They may have thought there's no risk of double stacking because of the 2 very different positions they started in, but now they find each other right next to each other on track. And if they're in communication, they might need to start thinking about who's pitting first, who's going second. If one is quicker than the other, do they trade places? Or is it too early on in the season to be playing the team game? Microstatic in P7. Gaps now starting to form in the field. Here there isn't much of a gap. P10, Mr. M. A lot of cars behind him. Naked Champ just behind him. Look at that, a tenth of a second. Want to be as close as you can for the DRS zone, but there's certain parts of this track you don't want to be on the gearbox of that car. It can put you off, can ruin your momentum. Got to have that following distance where it applies and be close enough where it applies. Mr. M goes side by side with Top Gun and takes that position. Changes 1 point into 2. Goes up into P9. While we were at the back, we missed some action at the front. Madwell now leads the race. Afrodox P2. It's Ferrari, second McLaren in P3. These three trading places. Weird camera angle, almost looks like the cars are coming over very slowly. And as a commentator who has been tormented many times by a safety car, every time I think a car is going slowly or every time I see something yellow on screen, it does just make me pause. This is as close as you're going to see anything. Afrodox following Madwell. Want to give some coverage to the guys further back in the field, but being so close here in the front between the two McLarens and Afrodox. Afrodox is now going to have DRS. Is he going to come at the McLaren? Madwell goes defensive, can't zigzag, can just have that one move. Had the one move to the inside. Now Afrodox goes back into the lead briefly. Looked like the McLaren was coming back, but the Williams leads the way. Top 4 cars, all Mercedes powered. And the top 3 aren't Mercedes. It's Ferrari. Just got a glimpse of that. Looked like he knocked a bollard. A bit more dramatic than it was. Thought I joined the car at the very wrong moment. Would love to get past Afrodox and convert this into a 1-2-4 McLaren, but it's only lap 12, still a long way to go. We haven't even arrived at the first pit stops. Microstatic now in a bit of a gap, having a bit of a lonely race. Big T has been able to hold on to the back of that DRS train. The longer he can hold on to it, the better. 5 cars, your top 5, all in a DRS train, holding on to each other, letting that leader tow them around. That leader at the moment is Madwell. Took the lead from Afrodox and he hasn't relinquished the lead since then. But he hasn't been able to break DRS either. Wonder how those mediums are starting to feel now on lap 12. How comfortable are these drivers? Are they starting to think of pit stops? McLaren will be in the unique situation in that top 5 that they need to think, when are we going to pit? Are we going to attempt the double stack? Or who's going first and who's going last? Because those two McLarens, very similar pace, but on exactly the same strategies and very close together on surface. Just France. Just a lock up there ahead from the McLaren. Shows you these drivers are driving on the edge. France doing all he can just to hold on to DRS. Remember, France the only car there on the hard compound, everyone else around him on the medium. I presume all of these medium runners are going to come in before him, which means France will have the quicker tyre in the closing stint of the race. Just had the one safety car, just have one driver on track with a penalty, and it's a 5-second penalty, so that was related to a pit infringement. Those 5 seconds can be served at your next pit stop, or they will be added onto his time at the end of the race. Madwell coming into the pits, Microstatic coming into the pits. So we were wondering which of the McLarens would pit first. Well, it was the leader. The leader came into the pits, got rid of those mediums, and now Afrodox will have some clean air for the first time in a while. He's been following that McLaren, trading places with that McLaren. Now he'll have a clean racetrack ahead of him. He's going to try and put in a few good laps, or at least a good half a lap. Make up as much time as he can before he has to go into the pits. I presume these drivers are going to go into the pits at the end of this lap. They're going to have to respond to Madwell. And because this field is still so close together, Madwell pit from P1 and came out in P12. But we know he can come through the field quickly. He has shown that not only in the past, but in this race. Madwell not looking to waste any time, getting very close to the back of the Aston Martin, and I think he's going to get him here on the straight. He does. Madwell goes past Andre, not waiting for pit stops to regain his positions. He's getting on with it, goes up into P11. Back at the front, the leaders have pit. Afrodox into the pits, it's Ferrari into the pits. France continues. Remember, he had the hard compound, so he's going to go later on into this race. Big T on the medium, he's chosen to stay out. Pantry Star also on the medium, choosing to stay out. And then the Naked Champ up into P4, also on the hard compound tyre. At the rear of the field, it's Spikes, P17, Andries, P16. He's lost his teammate Phase. He was the first retirement of the race. Then Ace of Pace in the other Haas. Haas not having a good night so far. 15 and 17, both outside of the points. Top Gun in the second. Williams is down in P14. His teammate up the road, battling for a race win. Mr. M 13, Microstatic. These are all contenders for the race. They've made their first pit stops. Now they find themselves in the midfield. And some of those cars have done pit stops out of sync because of safety cars, so you can't rely on them coming in for tyres. You're going to have to make the overtakes to get past. France stays out, still on the hard tyre. Big T and Pantry Star, the two remaining cars on the medium, have come in, also put on the hard. Seems like the standard strategy for everyone. I think we would have seen more interesting strategies if there had been more safety cars. But since it's been a pretty straightforward race, just an early safety car that wouldn't have affected anyone's strategy. So guys have been able to go according to the strategy they planned on. They haven't had to adjust things as they go. Wouldn't have expected that. Got a Mercedes 1-2. France leads the way. His teammate 16 seconds adrift in P2. Both of those, well, France is yet to pit. Naked Champ has made a pit stop, but that was very early on in the race. Both of those cars on virtually the same age hard tyres. when will those Mercs rather choose to pit? Obviously they can pit on the same lap, those teammates are far apart. Logic in P3. We have Afrodox, Madwell, it's Free, Big T, all looking to get back into their top 4 positions. Afrodox is already in the top 4 position. They want those podium positions back. Afrodox fastest lap of the race, 31.6. Now with that fresh set of hards. And a slightly lighter car than at the start of the race. It's going to be pushing. Logic has split the Mercedes. Not that they were very close together. But Logic now up into P2. Champ losing a position, going down into P3, and now he's going to come into the clutches of some very quick drivers. Afrodox, will he go around the outside? It will be quite the move if he does. Got close enough, but not quite. Naked Champ holds on for now, but surely not much longer, because now the Williams has DRS, and easily done. Before the corner arrives, he was already past. Afrodox up into P3, 1.9 seconds away from Logic. Both of those cars have pit. Logic has 3 laps more on his tyres. Maybe crucial at the end. Madwell in P5, right behind that Mercedes, and that Mercedes has actually pulled off into the pits. So he's released both McLarens, P4 and P5, Madwell and it's Free. With France also coming into the pits to get rid of those hards. Now it puts the McLarens up to P3 and 4. Logic leads the way from Afrodox. The gap's bigger than we've seen all race now. Gap for the lead 2.1 seconds. Then for P2 it's not such a comfortable lead because Afrodox just ahead of those 2 McLarens. Both McLarens in a DRS train with Afrodox. Well, they work as a team to dispose of this McLaren. They found themselves in this position before the pit stops. Difference now is Logic is up the road. Logic leads from Afrodox. Afrodox still defending from those 2 McLarens. They're swarming left and right, looking to make up a position. Big T defending from Microstatic. I don't think there's any more DRS battles. It's just Mr. M on the back of Andres. They're fighting for P16. And at the lead, Logic extending that lead. It's just 2.2 seconds. He's looking pretty comfortable. Madwell now fastest lap of the race and up into P2. Goes past Afrodox pretty easily on the straight. And Afrodox has a bit of a lockup for good measure. Might even allow the second McLaren to come at him. Second McLaren's going to have DRS now, but is he going to be close enough to follow suit? Not quite. Madwell will now focus his attention on Logic. Needs to be careful. Still very close to the Williams behind him. Any sort of mistake, Afrodox will take that position back. We saw that earlier on in the race before the pit stops. Cars were trading positions. Afrodox most certainly will not give up a position. For now, Madwell doing enough, just extending the gap a little bit, closing the gap on Logic. We saw that gap was 2.2 seconds, it's now 1.7 seconds, so definitely coming down. Afrodox looking at the rear of one McLaren, and if he looks in his mirrors, he'll see the front of another. Wants to get past now, getting very close, thinking about it. Not quite yet. Patience is the name. 10 laps to go. Don't want to lose a wing at this stage. Don't want to lose the race to something silly. Madwell goes towards the inside and then towards the outside. Holds that P2. Nothing much Afrodox could have done. It's Faree in P3. Make it P4. Looking to get into P3. Just can't get close enough to that Williams. And he's also got to bear in mind that that Williams is battling his teammate. Can't do anything too crazy. Collision with the Williams could also mean damage to his teammate. That's how close these cars are together. This will be helping Logic somewhat. Obviously Madwell is closing the gap, but I have to imagine he'd be closing the gap a lot faster if he didn't have all this happening in his mirrors. Logic will know, as long as he is outside that 1 second. He's got a bit of a safety, but as soon as he goes within that 1 second, DRS becomes a thing, and you can become a sitting duck. Been in that situation before. You're just trying to keep that gap over a second, and then it suddenly drops below a second. It's not a good feeling. You know he's coming. France 131.1. Logic, Madwell, turn 1. Madwell keeps the lead. Logic P2. Afrodox P3. It's Faree. Now down to P4. Can't forget about Big T. He's all over the back of France, still looking to get himself up into the top 5. Microstatic just behind him. Cars very close together. Pantry Star having a bit of a lonely race. He's hoping for a safety car to come out and mix things up. But he's got a 15 gap second ahead of him and a 3-second gap behind him. So no action on track so far for Pantry Star. He's in P8. And will you look at that, there's no penalties on your screen. It's pretty impressive, especially for Bahrain. Shark holding on to the final point. A comfortable gap down to Naked Champ. 4.5 seconds. Two Aston Martins driving line astern, not having the race they would have wanted tonight. Neither car in the points. 13-14. Want to get at least one of those cars up into the top 10. Both quick drivers. If there's anything they can do about it, they will do it. They'll both be hoping for some sort of late safety car. Virus has made a pit stop. He is on a brand new set of soft tyres. You can see those Aston Martins just traded places. Obviously on different strategies, different compounds, different ages of tyre. And it's in the best interest of that Aston Martin team to try and release Virus to get into the top 10. If there's any hope of claiming a point tonight. Madwell still out front. That gap now 1.5 seconds. Logic P2. Afrodox P3 ruining the double McLaren podium. Is Faree trying to change that, trying to get himself back up into the top 3. It's not going to be an easy feat because the two drivers ahead of him, they're awfully quick. A little further back, Microstatic is on the back of Big T. It's within DRS. Not a close battle for now. He's going to have to get a little closer than that. Not a lot of DRS battles on track. We have Virus. It's all over the back of Ace of Pace. Remember, he's the only car out on track on a set of softs, and they're brand new softs. So those tyres are going to feel great. He's going to have superior grip. around any corner on this circuit. And Ace of Pace is going to have his hands full if he's going to try and keep that Aston Martin at bay. And he hasn't been able to keep him at bay. Virus gets past, but if he's going to catch up to the points paying positions, he's going to have to find 10 seconds in the next 6 laps. So definitely a safety car needed, but at this point doesn't look like one is coming. A 3-second time penalty for the naked champ. That is for track infringements. Obviously you get the 3 warnings and then a 3-second penalty. And the more you do it, the more that happens. Madwell loses his way. Just lost the back end of the car there on the exit. Nobody was expecting that. Was just going about his way. Everything looked like it was rehearsed, and then suddenly a mistake from Madwell, and that takes him all the way down to P5, P6 now. He's lost another position to Big T, and now Afrodox finds himself at the lead of the race. He's leading from Logic, it's Ferrari, and the other McLaren in P3. Did get himself back up into 3rd place, but I'm sure he didn't want it at the cost of his teammate. France in P4. This race is far from decided, just 5 laps to go. And Logic, actually Afrodox, Logic, it's Ferrari and France all in the DRS train for the lead of this race. Depending on what Afrodox's battery life looks like, he's going to have his hands full. If you're a viewer, you can see what his battery life looks like. I'm not going to say it out loud because his competitors might be listening. Pretty much everyone there in that top 4 at the same levels anyway. And what we will say is the levels are rather low. So close together. We have a caution. Is it just a caution? Hopefully it's just a caution. A late safety car could change everything, but it is just a caution and we're back underway. Afrodox leads the way. Logic still P2. It's Ferrari P3 and France. He wants a podium position. He's holding on to this DRS train. I wonder if the drivers would have gotten a fright like I did when they saw the caution. Late safety car could change everything in this race, but we're now getting to the stage where a safety car will not be called anymore. In the last 3 laps of the race, you can consider yourself safe. That was briefly 4 cars wide. Absolute madness, and then little internet spikes making it look even more crazy. We've had an incident. We have a McLaren, a Williams off track. Ooh, and he just gets out of the way of 3 cars. So Afrodox now losing his way. We've had a few of that in this race. Drivers at the front making mistakes. We saw what happened with Madwell. He lost it really all on his own. Just a mistake from the driver, breaking concentration. Unfortunately, we didn't see what happened to Afrodox. We just saw that Williams going very wide off the circuit. Don't know if that was contact or if that was a mistake from the driver. Sure, we'll find out after the race. But for now, Logic leads the way. France P2, it's Ferrari, making sure McLaren stays on the podium. Looked like he wasn't going to get a podium at a stage. Then the leaders kept on dropping out. Where is Madwell? Remember, he had that nasty spin. He was leading the race. He's down in P4. 3.5 seconds adrift from his teammate. And 3.5 seconds adrift from the podium. This was the race he should have won. Logic leads from France. It's Ferrari. Not really attacking the two drivers ahead of him just yet. Not able to get close enough. As close as he would like. Have a retirement on lap 26 of 29 and a caution. But crucially it is lap 26 of 29. Are we going to get? Hopefully not. Surely not. We're back underway. The track lights up in green and we can all breathe a sigh of relief. We're not going to have a one lap sprint at the end. It's not Abu Dhabi. Well, we're actually pretty close to Abu Dhabi. We're in Bahrain. France still doing what he can to stay close, but he can't really get close enough to make a pass. Microstatic on the back of Big T and Afrodox on the back of Microstatic. So these guys still jostling for positions at the end of the race. Every single position is a handful of points. These guys are fighting for a championship and it's still early days in that championship, so everybody has a great opportunity and you're going to want every single point you can get your hands on, because that may be the one point that wins you the championship at the end. Obviously 1989, 1990, 1994, all championships decided by just 1 point. Obviously not as common these days. F1 points were a little bit more simple. Only the top 6 drivers scored and the winner only got 10. Logic leads from France, then the two McLarens, and they split by 2.5 seconds. So Madwell has been able to make up a bit of time, unfortunately for him. Pretty late on in the race. I saw that mistake. It was quite a shocker. Nobody saw it coming. He's leading the race. He was pulling a Max Verstappen, just looked like he was taking it in his stride. Starting to pull off, looking towards the end of the race, and then suddenly a mistake. Afrodox on a bit of a recovery drive of his own. That's not going to help him. He picks up a 3-second time penalty. Luckily for him, Pantry behind him is 18 seconds adrift. But as for the battles ahead of him, this is just going to put him off slightly. He's going to get past those cars and lose the positions anyway. Go back to the front of the field. France leads from Logic, then the two McLarens. Second McLaren not quite part of the game, but he is going pretty quickly. Could see that second McLaren joining this battle on the final lap. That could make things very interesting. Will we see 4 cars wide again before the race is over? Microstatic still all over the back of Big T. Afrodox just behind, but remember Afrodox has those penalties, so I wonder if he will be looking to make an aggressive pass, or if he'll be happy to sit in that position. We begin the final lap, lap 29 of 29. France leads the way from Logic. And the two McLarens, Madwell hasn't really been able to come back into this battle. He's 1.2 seconds adrift. Microstatic and Big T. Ooh, both of them. Those cars becoming intertwined. And Big T and Microstatic leaving the circuit. Luckily for both of them, they're back on their way. France now half a second. It's not comfortable, is it? I think he's just managing it, doing just what he needs to. You can see You can see the battery levels, and well, there's no difference in the battery levels. Top 3 are in single digits, and 4th place is just off the single digits. So these guys giving it everything they have, every last bit of energy the car has on offer. They're going to push to the end. France leads. Logic very close behind. Look at that. Madwell has been able to come back at his teammate. Even thought of passing his teammate there for a second. Around the final corner. And France has done enough to hold on to the victory. Logic P2. Madwell looked like he was going to take P3 away from his teammate there, but misses out by 700ths of a second. Afrodox over the line in P5. Could have had a stronger race. Just that error at the end of the race. Don't know if it was an error or an incident. We have the lonely Alfa Romeo of Pantry Star going over the line in P8. Don't want to weave too much. Ferrari could lose a position. Jacques over the line. Final car in the points. And now we're just going to wait for the Red Bull of Andres, followed by Andre, Mr. Rem and Spikes. This will be the last cars over the line. Well, the comment section got extremely quiet during the race. That means either most of our listeners are driving cars, or everyone was just really enjoying the race. Madwell predictably gets driver of the day. What a drive he had. Had to come through the field not once but twice. And there are your official results. France taking the victory and the fastest laps, so picking up 26 points on the night. Perfect night for him. Logic P2. It's Ferrari and Madwell, the two McLarens, P3 and 4. Good night for the McLaren team. Microstatic P5, Big T P6. Then we have Afrodox P7, Pantry Star P8, Top Gun and Jacques taking up the last 2 points positions. Unfortunately tonight no points. Virus P11. Then we have Andre, Mr. Rem, Spikes, and making up the field Ace of Pace in P16. We do have a DNF column. It involves 3 cars, Naked Champ, Biffelsfontein, and very early on, Phase. I want to thank everybody who joined us tonight for round 2 here in Bahrain. It was a fantastic race. Couldn't ask for anything closer than that. We do try and give some footage to the guys in the midfield and at the rear of the field, but it's a lot more difficult when you have racing that tight up front, and we had it for a majority of the race. I want to thank everyone who joined us. We will be back on Wednesday night. We're going to do this track again. We're going to do it with another set of drivers. We're going to do it for Tier 2. I hope to see you all back. Of course, Thursday night, DRS. And then Sunday night, SKR. Until then, if you haven't subscribed, please do. Leave a like on the video. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Till then, cheers.